But on our show today, we have Alice Hyman. Alice developed her expertise in sales while at Miller Hyman before striking out on her own, establishing Alice Hyman LLC in 1997. She's a nationally recognized expert with a proven track record of leading and inspiring corporate teams as well as developing sales in startups. These days, she spends a good deal of her time mentoring women business owners and coaching saleswomen in her sales success groups. A consummate networker, she is the author of the e-book, Connecting Your Way to New Business, and the developer of the BizTalk Blender, an event that connects people to others that they can do business with. Her work has earned her numerous awards, including Saleswoman of the Year, Marketer of the Year, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Blue Ribbon Award. For the past 20 years, she has spoken at numerous conferences and professional organizations and runs trainings for salespeople and sales managers across the nation. Welcome to the show, Alice Hyman.
Well, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here today with both of you.
We're excited about your topic because this is something that is really a gift that people can learn how to do. And, you know, some people are just natural at it, but I know that you teach people to do it, whether they're natural or not, and that's how to make great connections. You want to tell us just a little bit about your process?
Oh, absolutely. I think that making connections is something that everybody has to do throughout their entire lifetime. And the process that I really work with people on most is networking to grow their business. But it's really important to understand that connecting and networking starts when we're little. It starts when we're little kids. It starts with our group of friends that we get to know in grade school or even preschool before that. And then as we grow up, the different people that we connect with, possibly with Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts or gymnastics or soccer, and then our school friends. So already as small children, we have lots of different networks that we start creating. And then as we go on to high school and college and make more connections, and we still have our grade school friends and our friends from our hometown, but then we have our new friends from college, and then we have our network of people that are in our field of study. And then we go on to the work world and start making more networks and more connections. And really what it's all about is getting connected with people at a level that's deep enough that you can stay connected with them and utilize those connections and those relationships for wherever you happen to be in your life at that moment in time. And we need different connections, different networks at different times. So it's important to look at this as a lifelong process of building your network, staying connected to your network, maintaining it, growing it, and having it available to you to tap into whenever you need it and for whatever you need it for.
So you have this awesome event called the BizTalk Blender that you developed. And I know when people go into networking events, they are terrified. You know, I think we forget how easy it is to connect with people if you just come from a very genuine place. So what kind of advice or how do you help people to overcome that initial, oh, my God, I'm in this room full of people and I don't know who to talk to or how to interact?
Well, something that you said, Lisa, is really important. You know, coming from a place of genuinely wanting to connect, you know, working from your heart. You know, in business, it's really important to get this heart-centered type of approach and be genuine. It makes a huge difference for entrepreneurs to be able to get where they need to be, and for business owners and even for large companies. I think a lot of people have started to realize that we must be more genuine, especially in this economic climate. People really want to do business with people that they know, like, and trust, and that care about them, that are genuine. And so, you know, walking into these places that are sort of scary to some of us, where there's lots of people that we don't know, the big mistake that most people make is they try to sell something. And as part of my process, what I teach is that we are never selling when we are networking. I guess I'll take that back a tiny bit. The only thing we might be selling is ourselves, right? We just want to let people know who we are and what we're about and how genuine we are and that we care about them. So we're not ever selling our products and services when we are out networking. We need to approach these events in a different way. You walk into a room of people you don't know, what are you going to do? Well, obviously you're going to try to approach someone that looks friendly, or maybe someone who's standing by themselves, Or better yet, before you even ever get to the event, make a connection either online or with the phone or in person, but make a connection with the people who are organizing the event and ask them to have someone meet you there and get to know you a little bit and then introduce you to the others at that event. So you never really have to be in a position where you're in a room with a whole bunch of people that you don't know feeling uncomfortable. So thinking about this ahead of time will help you be able to prepare for the event and make a connection that will help you at the actual event to get connected and make these genuine connections that are going to help you build your network. And then when you are approaching people, you're really just getting to know them, getting to know who they are, what they're about, what their world is like, maybe where they work and what they do, and you're trying to connect in a way that starts a relationship that can continue after the event.
I really like the way that you tell people to contact an organization prior to going. But let's say that you don't get that opportunity. People like to help other people. And so, when you show up, what's your advice when you show up? Say, look, I'm here to connect. I don't know anybody. Is there someone who can introduce me? How would you advise somebody to go about doing that?
Well, absolutely.
Even if they're shy.
Yeah, if you're shy especially, and if you haven't had a chance to connect ahead of time, I usually will walk right up to the registration table and introduce myself to the people who are doing the registrations and ask them if there is a membership person or is the president, could they introduce me, or is there a greeter? And, they're usually so helpful. And, yes, the greeters, we're so glad you're here. The greeter's over here. Let me introduce you to them. People are so helpful. They really do want to help you. And the other thing that I do sometimes is I'll just find the first person who looks like they're kind of standing alone, and I'll walk up to them and say, hi, I'm new. Have you been here before? And then strike up a conversation with them, and then maybe we can approach others together, which makes it feel a little bit more comfortable as well. So I think, if you haven't had a chance to connect ahead of time, that's okay. Show up and connect right away, either with someone online, start chatting with them, talk to the people who are doing the registrations, or ask those people to introduce you to a president or a membership person or a greeter or someone who can help you start getting connected.
Wonderful. Alice, do you also advise people on setting their goals? What's their reason for going? What's the reason for connecting? What kind of people are they connecting for? Do you teach people how to be real conscious about these factors?
I do, and I think it's really important. One of the things that I teach in my process is to really have a strategy for networking. Think about your whole year of networking, what your goals are for the year for your business, and how your networking can help support those goals, and then make a plan of where to go and who you need to meet online and off, both of those. Use your online networking as well. And think about, before each networking event, who you need to connect with and why. And perhaps you can do some of the connecting online before you even get to the event and say, hey, I'm going to be at this event, love to meet you there. So use Facebook, use Google+, use LinkedIn, use those tools to help you get connected ahead of time as well. But definitely have a strategy about your networking. Set goals for each event and make sure that you meet those goals. So if I'm thinking, I'd really like to connect with some more people in the marketing arena, I decide that I'm going to go to the American Marketing Association meetings. But let's say I'm not really sure who goes or who's, I don't know who's there anymore because I haven't been for a long time. The first thing I'll do is just look online and find out who the officers of that organization are and see if I know any of them. And if I do, I'll make those connections. I'll make a phone call, meet somebody for coffee, go online and connect with them, whatever it is, and then say, hey, I'm thinking about coming to this upcoming event. And what I want to do is meet 3 people who are graphic designers because I need a graphic designer for my business. And then I will, establish that goal and get to that event and make sure that I meet those graphic designer type people. Or maybe I'm going to that event because I'd like to collaborate with someone. I do sales. I need someone who can offer marketing support to my clients. So I'd like to meet several companies there who provide marketing support and decide which one of them I'd like to collaborate with. So I have a specific goal for that meeting, and I want to make sure that I can meet that goal by helping myself in every way possible prior to the event and at the event, which really reminds me of another thing I wanted to make sure and mention while we were on the air today, and that is that many people go out and network thinking that, they're going to get leads and they're going to increase their sales that way. And that's a good thought. That absolutely can be done. It's just not done at the event. And a lot of the business owners and salespeople tell me, I network all the time and I never get any results. I never get any leads from it. Well, they may be looking for the wrong things. When I go out to network, I'm always looking for 3 key things. Of course, I am looking for people who I can do business directly with. So that is one of the things. However, I won't ever sell to them while I'm at the event, but I may identify them as someone I want to meet with later because they could possibly use my services. But I'm looking for 2 other things as well. I'm looking for people that I can collaborate with, people who maybe do something similar but not competitive to me, or people who provide something to the same audience that I sell to but don't compete with me in any way. I'm looking for those collaborators so that I can talk with them and learn from them and work with them and possibly do some events together or something online together or provide something for our same audience together that will help both of us. And then lastly, I'm looking for people who can be a referral source. And, of course, that means I'm willing to be a referral source for them as well. So I'm looking for people who do other things, who may, again, have a similar audience to mine, people that I can get to know and trust, and that we can provide referrals for each other. And I think if you go out networking with those 3 things in mind versus just, I'm going to meet somebody I can sell to, I think that you'll get much better results keeping those 3 things in mind.
Yeah, that's great. And one common theme that I'm seeing underneath all this is that you're asking for what you need. You're connecting with people and you're asking for their support and their help. And as Shal said earlier, that we love to help people. So, how do you deal with the people in networking events that are just kind of shoving themselves at you, shoving their cards at you, trying to sell to you without really wanting that connection and asking for what they need instead of trying to just sell to you. I know I've been to, there's certain networking events that's all you get. You just get people handing you their cards and no connection. And then there's other events that I just feel really connected to because, they're really more heart-centered. So how do you deal with the networking events where that happens a lot?
Honestly, it's one of the biggest reasons that the business owners I know will not go out and network. They are so sick of going to events where people come up and just hand them business cards and try to get their cards so they can put them on a list and start spamming them. I mean, these days are gone. People need to really get over themselves and learn how to network properly. It is almost embarrassing to me that we still have business people, salespeople out there going to networking events that only care about themselves and don't really know how to connect with someone at a deeper level. I mean, I don't think these people have ill intent. Don't get me wrong. I think they have a good intent probably, but they just really don't know how to execute on that intent. And I'd really like to help all of those people learn how to network properly, and that is why I started the BizTalk Blender. And I do remind people at the BizTalk Blender that this is not a good place to sell, that we should not be focused on selling, that we should be focused on getting to know people. But honestly, I just try to avoid events where there are people who are just going to be walking around trying to get your business card and give theirs. I really try to avoid them. But if I do get to an event where there are people doing that, when they start into their spiel, usually what I'll do is slow them down. And I will do that by asking them questions. So they may start saying, hey, I'm a printer and I have all these great printing things, and I see that your company does a lot of printing, and who prints your business cards, and blah, 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 blah. They'll be doing that kind of thing. And I'll say something to them like, tell me, how did you get into the printing business? And it will just slow them right down, and they'll have to stop and think and talk to you about the printing business. And then I might say something like, well, what do you like about the printing business? And then they'll tell me more about that. And then I might ask them, something about the printing business in Reno, and what do they notice and what do they find, and ask them more things about being in Reno perhaps. But I will try to slow them down and get them onto a topic that is less about their business and more about them, and get them to talk more about who they are than what they sell.
And that sounds like what you would do with any other person at the event, is ask them about their business, ask them about how they started, ask them about how long they've been in it, what they see for the future. Those kinds of questions are what builds the relationships. And the relationships in this day and age are absolutely mandatory to doing good business.
Yes, absolutely. And it is. Right. I try to slow them down and bring them back to a place where I would have started with them anyway had they not approached me with selling. And it typically works. And honestly, sometimes, there are people that will just go on anyway and try to continue selling you. And I will just excuse myself from them politely. I'll just say, oh, gosh, it was nice to meet you. I see my friend Susie over there. Talk to you later. And I'll just, as politely as I can, skip away from them.
Awesome. You were talking earlier about how you make your plan for attending a network event, and you know exactly what you're looking for. Now, some people might see that deliberateness as being contrived, and the truth is, I'd like you to explain a little bit more about the depth of why you're looking for these types of people, why you're looking to build relationships with these type of people, and why it's not contrived, why it's just absolute good business. You know what you need to do in order to make your business expand, and the relationships and the connections that you make will help those that do business with you as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, here's the thing. Planning is good for every aspect of your life, right? Planning is just a good thing, period. It's good to help your children learn to plan. It's good to plan for yourself, plan to have downtime, plan to have busy time, plan your business plan. Planning is a good thing. So there's really nothing contrived about that. I want to plan my opportunities when I'm out networking. I want to meet, of course, anyone that would like to meet me as well. But I do want to make sure that I make the best use of the precious time that I have. And both of you know how busy I am, and I know that you guys are really busy too. We have our family, we have our friends, we have our businesses, we have our nonprofit work. There's only so many hours in the day. So if I do good planning, I can make sure that I utilize my hours the best possible way. And so I plan for networking just like I plan everything else in my life. I plan and think it through and make sure that I can get what I need, because that's what's going to help me and that's what's going to grow my business. And it's going to help the other people around me as well when I can be really clear to them about what I need. And I do recommend that you ask people for what you need. Once you've met them and built a relationship with them, they're happy to help you. But if you can't articulate clearly what you need, how could they possibly help you? So for an example, I pick on realtors a lot, not because I don't love realtors. I definitely do, and I help a lot of them with their businesses as well. But realtors tend to say things like, when somebody says, hi, what do you do? They say, I'm a realtor. And then, oh, well, what kinds of leads are you looking for? Well, anyone who wants to buy a house. Okay, well, none of that information helped me very much. So if I'm trying to help them, I need more specific information. So possibly saying something like, instead of I'm a realtor, you could say something like, I help first-time home buyers find their dream home. Now all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh, first-time home buyers. Not just anyone who wants to buy a house. I'm thinking first-time home buyers. Wow, I might know a couple of them, right? So being more specific really helps everyone around you to help you get what you need as well. So think about what you say when someone says, what do you do? That's planning. That takes planning. You have to plan it out ahead of time. I often say to people, I help companies increase sales, or I say, I help business owners get all the sales they need to be wildly successful. Something engaging that makes people want to talk with you, listen to you, and help you. So when somebody does ask you what do, you need to have planned and be ready for that. And then when somebody does ask you, what kind of leads are you looking for, which is a question I try always to ask at the end of a conversation when I'm winding down in a networking event and ready to move on to the next person. I'll say, it was so nice meeting you, and it was interesting learning a bit more about you and your business, and I'd love to know what kind of leads are you looking for so I can keep that in mind. And if they don't know what to say back to me, how can I help them? So another part of planning for a networking event is being able to say, well, gosh, thank you for asking. I'm looking for CEOs who own companies between $5 and $10 million that have a few salespeople and are really ready to take their sales to the next level. The more specific you can be, the better they can help you. So if you say, well, gosh, I'm looking for first-time home buyers who think that they really won't be able to get into a home, but really want to, and I can talk with them and help them find the financing that they need and help them find a home that's affordable. Wow, now I really know what you do. Now, as a realtor, does that mean you don't help other people? Of course it doesn't. Of course you can help anybody with any home needs that they have, but being specific helps you more than just saying, anybody who wants to buy a home kind of thing. So that's what I mean by planning. I mean being very thoughtful about where you go, what's there for you, and who can you help there. Being thoughtful about how you're going to approach it and planning what you're going to say and planning what you want to do while you're there. That's what I mean really by setting a goal and planning.
Yeah, I really like how you got to the specific of really being really specific about what you're looking for. And, I think it helps business owners to kind of clarify what their true target is. And then to be wildly successful, I love your phrase, you can have a really specific niche. And I think a lot of people are afraid that if they really specify a very specific niche, that they're going to miss out on other business. So they kind of broad brush their elevator speech, saying I'm looking for anybody, a dentist, anybody with teeth, I'll do them. But that's not the fact. I think you can be truly successful if you really narrow it down. So how do you help people to really get connected with who they really truly want to work with?
Well, that's a great question, and it is part of my process when I'm training people to network. We have to stop and take a look at who is their target audience. And if they don't already know that, or if they haven't narrowed it enough, it takes some time. And sometimes, like you said, it's hard to convince them that shooting for everyone isn't really going to help them because they are afraid they might miss some segment of the audience. But truly that won't happen. The more specific you can be, the better. But what I tell people to do is really look at your current customer base and see who's there and analyze, what age are they? Where do they come from? What kinds of things do they like to do? How do they buy? Really know who your current customer base is to help you further target. Because, maybe women in business are your target, or maybe businesses under $1 million, or maybe solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, or maybe mothers with small children, children preschool age is your target, or perhaps it's men who drive hot August nights types of cars. Maybe that's your, audience. But it's good to know exactly who your audience is. And also who you relate to best, because that's going to help define your audience as well. And of course, when you have an audience and you get good with that audience, they become a walking advertisement for you, and they go find more people like themselves to bring to you. So it is really helpful if you can write down exactly who your target audience is and who you want to aim at. It helps you spend your sales and marketing dollars better. It helps you on social media decide who to friend and who to aim any of your promotional materials at. And it will really help propel you in your business, not just your networking, but in your business, if you can clearly define that target audience.
Alice, what if you're dealing with someone who is doing a startup? They don't have a customer base. One of the things I heard you say was, who do you relate to best? Is that where you take them first?
You know, starting out a business and finding your very first customers is a very unique and special place to be. And I love helping people with this. But absolutely think about who you relate to well. Of course, you always want to tap into your friends and family at that point. But you really want to think about your product or service and who you feel would be most likely to buy it first, the quickest, the ones who will get it right away, who will really understand it and go for that audience. And then you can spread out from there. And if you're not sure, hold a couple focus groups. Get some friends and family to bring along one or two people that you don't know and sit down with them and talk about your product or service and tell them about it and let them help you figure out who your target audience might be. So when you're first starting up, you do have to approach it a little bit differently. Absolutely. But again, you don't want to just say, oh, I'm just going to try to sell it to everybody because I don't know who my audience is. You're going to do some things to help yourself, carve out a little niche, and start there and grow out from there.
I'd like you also to really get to the heart of, the whole topic today is how to make great connections. And we've talked about it, and I think there's still out there just so many entrepreneurs, so many people who don't truly understand the depth that we're talking about when we're saying make the connections and build those relationships, why it's so darn important to really get down to that connection. One of the things that happened for Lisa and I is that by following this principle, by attending regularly, by seeing each other on a regular basis, by talking to each other on a regular basis, by building the relationship, we are now in business together, doing a project together. These are the things that happen because of building the relationship. So really talk, I think, about the depth here that you really mean, the depth of these relationships.
Well, this is something that is really important to me, and I'm so glad that you bring it up, Shawl, because I get very concerned about people who are just collecting business cards or who are just collecting friends on Facebook or just linking to anyone on LinkedIn or Google+. Having a great big long list of people who you don't know will get you absolutely nowhere very fast. People only want to buy from, work with, collaborate with, refer to people that they know, like, and trust. They can't like you or trust you if they don't know you. So the fact that you have their name on a list or they have your name on a list doesn't account for the know, like, and trust part. It's just a name on a list. So the better that I can get to know you, the more likelihood it is that you'll start to like me and learn more about me and begin to trust me and allow me into your world. Now, I understand that there's not enough time to get to know every single person at the depth that perhaps you and Lisa now know each other at because of your, continuing to get to know each other. But you need to think about the different levels and the different depths that you're going to go with different people. If you're creating a following of any kind for your business, you do need to get past just having a name on a list. And this is why opt-in is so important. People choose you because they find something interesting about you, they know you, they like you, they trust you, whatever the reasons are, they're choosing you. Now, when someone chooses you, there is someone that you have an opportunity with. But when you've just put their name on a list and don't really know them, you're probably just going to annoy them. Now, chances are they might get to know you, like you, and trust you from doing that. But it's better if you start from the opt-in because you have more opportunity to irritate people otherwise. And so I really take a look at it and I say, again, what is my plan for my business? Who do I need to know, and who do I need to know at what level to be able to be successful? I can't be best friends with everybody, nor do I even want to be. But I can determine what people in my life I can establish what type of relationship with that will help me with what pieces. And that, again, takes planning, and you've got to think through it. I mean, some of it will be by chance or haphazard, and that's fine, but some of it has to be thought out and planned. So, for example, with the women at eWomen, we all belong to eWomen. We love eWomen. We know some of them a little bit. We chat with them. We know a little bit about their families, a little bit about their business, and that's about it. And, that stays there. Some of them we get connected to in a deeper way. We feel more of a connection, and we want to get to know them better. So now we'll start to, maybe have coffee together, have lunch together once in a while, start some more conversations, get to know them a little bit better. And then out of those will become the people that we really decide to collaborate with, work with, refer to, and all of those things. So we have several levels of relationships within one group that we attend and get to know. And we don't have to have deep, deep relationships with everyone, but it has to be more than just, I've got your business card. So, again, planning and thinking about what are my goals, what am I trying to do, and so that when I meet people, I can think about, is this someone who can help me reach one of my goals? At what level might this person be able to help me? And then developing the relationship accordingly.
Nice. And you also mentioned, things like LinkedIn, Facebook, Google+. If somebody's wanting to build an online presence and have those connections online with people that really they're not going to know who these people are a lot of times, how do you suggest that somebody go about building those kinds of connections?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because I just wrote an article recently for my blog, which is smartsalestips.com, and it's called, Do You Want to Be My Friend, right? So here are these people asking me to be their friend, and I have no idea who they are. And I don't recommend doing that necessarily. I recommend, of course, friending and connecting with your friends and family first, and then your former colleagues, your current colleagues, people that you meet networking. Really try to reach out to the people that you know first, and continue to develop the relationships with those people so that you know them well enough to ask for an introduction to someone that you don't know. See, again, back to this whole list of people that you don't know, what good is it? I need to develop relationships with people so that when I ask them for something, they're likely to give it to me. So if I need an introduction into a company where I don't know anyone, or if I need an introduction to someone who builds websites and I want somebody trusted, whatever it is that I want or need, I have someone that I can trust to help me gain that access that I need. If they don't know me, just because they're connected to a person I want to know, when I contact them, they're going to be like, why should I help you? I don't even know you. Who are you, right? They're not likely to connect me to one of their trusted contacts when they don't even know me. So if people are friending you on any of, connecting with you on Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, any of these sources, even on Twitter, then if you don't know them, ask them, who are you? What made you interested in connecting with me? I try to say it in a very nice way. I'll say something like, thanks so much for connecting. Since we don't know each other, I'm curious, what inspired you to connect with me? And then maybe I'll ask them a question or two about themselves, or I will tell them a little bit about me. And if they don't respond, then I'm not going to friend them. I'm not going to connect with them. Why would I? That means they're just collecting friends or just collecting connections to collect them, those will not be useful to them in any way. And if there's someone that I want to connect with that I don't know, I try to look and see who do we know in common and get an introduction from them. And, a lot of times I use LinkedIn just to see who I know that knows who, and then I actually pick up the phone and call versus asking for the connection on LinkedIn because I think it's much more personal. But LinkedIn's a great tool to see who everybody knows, and then I can pick up the phone and call them. Hey, I see on LinkedIn that you know Shawl. Can you connect me to her? And I'll tell them what I want and why, and it works better that way. But, of course, I can't pick up the phone if I don't know them. They're just another person on my list, right? So if you reach out to people that you don't know just like you would in person, but also on social media, tell them who you are. Tell them who you know in common. Tell them why you want to know them. And if it's something like I got a message on LinkedIn the other day, just connecting with you to schedule a 10-minute appointment to talk to you about insurance. And not going to do it. Don't know who you are, don't want to talk to you, don't care. Forget about it. But if that person would have said, hey, I see that you know Shawl and you're friends with her and so am I, and I'm just starting up in my new insurance business, and you may already have all the insurance you need, but, would you mind just meeting with me because I need to meet with a lot of people to learn how to do what I'm doing? That person, I would probably say, yes, of course I'll meet with you. First of all, you're a friend of Shawl's. I know her, like her, and trust her, so that's great. And secondly, you told me who you are and why you want to meet with me, that you're in a learning mode, and I'm happy to help you if I can. Now, I may not have time, but if I do have time, I'm happy to help. So really think about how you're approaching people, and be kind and let them know who you are and what you want and why you want it, so that they're more likely to connect with you.
Beautiful. So we all know that when we go to these events, there's people that are really super shy. And they leave the event thinking, that there's cliques and all of that. How do you tell people that they've got to take responsibility to get into that group, to become a part of that group? That it's really a cop-out to say, oh, they're just a clique.
Well, this is so tough. I mean, there are a lot of shy people. They could be introverts or extroverts. They just happen to be shy, which means they're tentative in a new situation like that. It's so easy for people like you and me and Lisa, to approach new people. We're outgoing. We love people. We're not shy. But even me, when I'm in a room full of 100 people that I don't know at all, it is more difficult. And so what I try to help people do is prepare ahead of time and not put themselves into that situation in the first place. So if you know that you're shy and struggle in these situations, help yourself out. Don't go there by yourself in the first place. Do the preparation I talked about earlier. Find someone who goes to that organization and already knows people and have them take you around and introduce you. Or when you get there, find someone immediately and say, I'm new and I'm a little bit shy. Would you help me meet a few people? But otherwise, don't go, because you will just leave there and say, oh, that group is just a clique, or, oh, that wasn't fun, I didn't meet anyone. Of course not. Don't put yourself in that situation in the first place. Give yourself as much help as possible by reaching out ahead of time, asking for the help that you need, and finding someone who will help introduce you to those people.
At this point, Alice, I'd really like to give our listeners a beam of hope for those that really are shy about these events. A lot of people know that I'm a singer, and of course I've been in eWomen since 2006. I'm in front of people a lot. I'm a speaker on the radio show. But and you did say it yourself, you can be an introvert or an extrovert and still be shy. I'm extremely shy, and it's very difficult for me to approach strange people. But I've learned how to do it, and so it is something that you can learn. Courage is doing it anyway, not lack of fear. If you didn't have any fear, you'd have nothing to be courageous about. So you kind of have to have a little bit of courage too, I think.
Oh, absolutely need a little bit of courage. And there's plenty of us out there who will help you, who will encourage you. So you don't need to be afraid, Just get that bit of courage up and then come and ask one of us for the help. And, there's just so many of us that will help any of you who feel shy. Or also, I just want to give myself a little shameless plug. Come to the BizTalk Blender. We will welcome you with open arms there. We will help you get connected to the people that you know. People won't try to sell to you. So go to those kinds of events or go to eWomen where everyone will welcome you and will help you get to know people. We have greeters there that will take you around and introduce you to people. So if you are new, if you are shy, start with those two events where there are people who really want to know you, and that will be easing you into the networking that you might otherwise not do. So try something easy to start with, and then you'll learn to enjoy it. It will get easier and easier to go to events where you don't know as many people or don't know that there'll be someone there with open arms standing to welcome you.
Alice, too, would you please tell people how they can find your BizTalk Blender? Because I think that it's expanded out of Reno now, hasn't it?
Oh, gosh, yeah. My BizTalk Blenders are in a lot of places, mostly on the West Coast right now, but we are even starting to expand on the East Coast as well. Most chambers of commerce will know about it. The chambers here in town know. Even out in Fernley and Fallon now we're doing BizTalk Blenders, our local chamber here, and some of the chambers in California. So contact your Chamber of Commerce and ask them if they are doing a BizTalk Blender. Or if you have a group that meets regularly and would like a more structured way to network, I could bring the BizTalk Blender to you, and you could have that for your own group. So you can go to biztalkblender.com, and that's B-I-Z, talkblender.com, and you could take a look there and get the information you need. Of course, you can call our office, and our number is on our website and very easy to find. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of those places. And we can actually bring the BizTalk Blender to you as well. But if you go to that page, you'll always be able to find a listing of where the BizTalk Blenders are. And on the calendar page on my website, alicehyman.com, you can find it there as well. But, yeah, it's a great and easy type of event to really get connected.
Wonderful. And then your other website was, your blog was smartsalestips.com?
Smartsalestips.com, absolutely.
Awesome. Now, you are also going to be on one of our telesummits at thriveteachers.com, and that's December 7th, 2011. We'll have Alice Hyman back doing how to handle objections and make more sales. And that's really the nitty-gritty, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody wants to know how to handle objections and close more deals. I mean, it's really what makes us all tick.
Awesome. Well, Alice, we have certainly enjoyed having you here today. I want to tell everybody again, they can go to BizTalk Blender, that's Biz, B-I-Z, talkblender.com, or they can go to smartsalestips.com, and I believe they can even go to alicehyman.com.
Absolutely.
Right. And is there anything else that you'd like to tell people, one last little tidbit about how to make connections, and that it really is about making the connections? Everything is about making the connections.
Well, I just want to say it's really been a pleasure to be here with both of you and be able to talk to our audience today about making connections. And I'll tell you, if you go forward making connections with your heart, you will really get the results that you need. So, be mindful of that and think about your strategy for connecting and think about how that fits with everything else that you're doing. And really, just go to your heart and think about how can you go forward connecting with people coming from the heart.